Good morning, everyone, and thank you for allowing me to come out here today and talk about diagnostic scanning. I represent Aztec. Actually, I own a company called Precision Marketing. We're a rep agency, and we represent many manufacturers from the United States and Canada, and Aztec is one of the manufacturers that we represent. We represent them right across Canada, so we have representatives in every province. And that's our job, is to take care of their needs and get their product out there. So that's who I am. Just going to try this one more time. Okay. So Aztec is they talk about remote diagnostics for the collision repair industry, and it is remote. I remember when I started with the company, probably about 85% of our customers that bought Aztec units were not in the cities. So they were probably 50 kilometers outside of the city limits, or 100 kilometers outside of the city limits. In fact, the Hawaii was probably the highest concentration where we had more Aztec units. And so why was that happening? Not enough dealerships, right? So we've got people buying cars, right? And it's a long ways to get to those dealers. And so there's a huge travel restrictions. So they were the early adopters to come and buy this diagnostic scanning. They needed it the worst. And so they were the early adopters. They got to it, and that's really how that was our first customers as we started with the company. Okay, so a little bit about who we are, and we're different. We're not an aftermarket scan company. Okay, Collision Diagnostics. So it's our Aztec unit is actually a portal. Okay, so it's not a tool. So if I look at an aftermarket product, it's a tool that you're going to purchase from a company that's loaded with software, okay? And we don't do that at all. So what we do is we provide you with a portal, and it's a box that we hook into your OBD port of your vehicle. And we're going to take that information, and through high-speed internet or Wi-Fi, we're going to take that information and we're going to send that off to two places in the United States of America. One is Plano, Texas, and the other one is Jacksonville, Florida. And in those areas, we have certified OEM technicians that work for us, okay? So at this particular point, the difference between us and aftermarket is we don't have the tool, right? You don't have to get a technician out of your shop to actually grab that tool and understand that tool, because learning diagnostics is not easy. In fact, if you go on the internet and research diagnostics, and I really, I'm going to ask you to do that. It takes a lot of research. And understand diagnostics today, you know, the first thing they're going to tell you is research what's out there today. It's a complicated business, right? And it's very complicated. And it's going to get more complicated as time goes on. So research what's out there. So this tool you get, the aftermarket ones have a tool. You need to get a technician in your shop that knows how to work that tool, right? And here's what I find. When I go to shops that have aftermarket tools, I ask them, I said, how's your tool working? They said, it's a decent tool. And those aftermarket tools are fantastic. They're great. And I said, who's working that tool? And the owner of the shop, unequivocally, 90% of the time says, I'm the guy that does it. And I think, why are you doing it? He says, because I can't afford to take a technician off the floor to do the diagnostics on the vehicle. So that's what I'm seeing. So there's a lot of learning that has to go on with these aftermarket tools. Okay, so back to us. We have this box, it's a portal, we put it inside the shop, we take this portal, we hook it up to the OBD port, and through high-speed internet and Wi-Fi, we blast this information off to Texas, okay? So we got the internet connection in the car to the Aztec, to Plano, Texas, or Jacksonville, Florida. Certified master technicians. Certified master technicians is what we have. Okay, so in those two facilities, in Texas and Jacksonville, we only use, and I want to repeat this, we only use OEM scan tools. Okay, so if it's a Toyota, we'll use a TechStream on a Toyota. If it's a Honda, we use a Honda tool. If it's a GM, we use a GM tool. Only OEM tools, no aftermarket. Okay, so in order to use those tools, the most important thing is training. Like I said before, you need to have a technician that understands that tool. We're talking about, this is a language that is so far away from what we understand. Right? It's so difficult to understand. So what we have is certified master technicians working in those locations. And it takes our information, puts it into an Aztec unit, and drives it into one of those, into the OEM tools. Whether that's software or that's an actual tool, it gets put into that. So the certified master technician is connected to an OEM factory scan tool, diagnoses the issues, okay? And, okay, it doesn't have, so an Aztec, the Aztec is once again, is connected to the OBD port, connected to the internet. We have this patented Aztec bi-directional communication. It's hooked up to the electronic control module, to the OEM factory scan tool, certified technician. Standardized reporting included. All DTCs found along with recommendations is delivered directly to the shop. So once that technician, so we're going to download that information that we receive from your vehicle. The certified technician is going to go through that information and he'll start diagnosing what's wrong with your vehicle. And that's why we prefer to do a pre-scan and a post-scan on vehicles. And I'll get into that later. But I'm just trying to get into the basics of our technology here. And that's how it looks right there, okay? So there's our shop, there's our Aztec. So that's via the cloud or the internet to another Aztec unit, to an OEM scan tool, and back to the collision repair facility. So that's the cycle of this Aztec patented technology using OEM scan tools. See, here's our issue, and here's the issue for the collision repair industry. All the OEMs are going certified, they have certified collision repair facilities, and I think it's wonderful, right? And when I look at their certified repair programs, they're saying they want you to do pre and post scans on every vehicle in that shop. Every vehicle. And that's a lot of work. So I'm sitting in a body shop, I own a collision repair facility. I could be Honda certified, maybe Toyota certified, maybe Chrysler certified. But yet I do work, I'm an independent operator, and I do work for other dealerships. I have my own customer base, maybe I have a couple of DRPs with insurance companies. So if I'm to buy every scanner, every OEM scanner, because all these OEM certification programs want you to use OEM scan tools. It's the first thing that they specify when you're doing work with them, right? So if I'm to buy every tool from every manufacturer, I'm going to go broke in a collision repair facility. I guarantee it, right? We just bought the new Porsche PW7 scanner. That's a $40,000 scanner that just came out today, right? We'll have to have multiples of those things. And as I show you down the presentation, you'll see we have $1 million in scan tools right now at our facilities. So it's a huge capital cost to get into this game today. Okay? But we know it works, and it's working very well for us today. Okay, so the car comes in the collision repair facility, right? What we ask the shops to do is create a service request, okay? And how do we do that? We have an app that goes on your phone, or you can go to your desktop computer and go to aztec.com, and this will appear, and we need contact information. These fields will fill themselves in as you start using it. You put your information in your shop, and I need all the vehicle details of year, make, model, submodel, transmission, so on and so forth. Once again, once you put the VIN number in there, once you put the VIN number, all these fields automatically fill in. Shop comments are really important. I mean, they're really important for our technicians because they can't see that car, right? So if it's been hit in the side, it's a side impact. If it's a front impact, you know, the more information you put for that technician on that vehicle, the better it's going to be for him to diagnose your car, right? So he can see what he's doing. It helps him, okay? We have a scheduled scan. This is a great new option that we just came out with. And we have a 2-hour notice. So Friday's a busy day in a body shop, and we have to deliver a lot of cars. Right? Maybe we got 4 or 5 we have to deliver. So we can schedule our scans a couple days before and say, I need a scan at 10 o'clock, I need a scan at 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and 2 o'clock. And we'll have a certified technician on the phone waiting for you, right? Waiting for your VIN number to come in and do that scan. Right? So, and I'll tell you the volume of scans we're doing. It's important you do that. Last month we did 11,000 scans, okay, at our Plano, Texas facility. So it's very busy there, right? And we're doing West Coast and East Coast. So there's a lot of different time zones, right? So you call at 11, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, right? You call at 3 in the afternoon, let me tell you, it's noon in California, and they're busy, right? So it never hurts to schedule a scan. Now, if you don't schedule a scan, and I can't always schedule a scan, I'm out in the shops and I'm doing remote scanning all the time myself, and I cannot schedule. And I can tell you that from the minute I push that button and create a scan request, it takes about 30 minutes from start to finish. By the time an OEM certified technician calls me, with the car's ready to roll, and he's in there doing his work, and I get a report back. About 30 minutes per vehicle. So that's what you'd have to schedule inside your shop if you're going to use our technology. Okay. All right. So next, Okay. There we go. That's a 2016. This is a 2016. So Jake Rodenroth is our spokesperson for our company. Jake is a wonderful speaker. He's also a JAG certified technician. He understands cars probably better than most people do. He sent me a couple of these slides. And this particular one was a 2016 Chev Silverado GM. This was the case number. And what we're doing on this particular one is we're doing a post scan on this vehicle. No pre-scan was done on this truck. We probably went to a shop. They called us up and said, you know, a couple lights are on, and this is where I get called in a lot, right? You know, a couple lights are on the vehicle. You know, could you come by and have a look at it, right? I say, sure, I can come by. And this is what happened here. So I can tell you the most important thing that we have to do, though, before we do with any scanning tool, the most important thing is battery backup. Okay, we have to constantly charge that battery. Okay, if that battery's not charged and those modules aren't receiving the right voltage, okay, we're not going to get the right scan readings on those vehicles. So important. I don't care what unit you're using, you've got to have some kind of a battery, not a battery charger, something that can flash. Okay, and they're available. And I've got one with me. It's a Bosch unit. Okay, so on this particular GM, so in General Motors, when you buy their scan tools, there's 3 different scan tools that you could that could be possibly called for to use on a General Motors vehicle, right? And that's all predicated on the VIN number of the vehicle. So GM2, MD1, and MD2, and those are the 3 different models that we have currently at our place right now that we use for General Motors. Tech 2, MD1, and MD2. Okay, so this is our 2016 Silverado. Here's our VIN number. SRS deployment, yes. We're going to ask you that. SRS deployment, yes. Is the car drivable, yes or no? Okay. Odometer reading. Very, very important odometer readings, right? Because you know when you did that scan. So if the customer comes back down, you know, if they put another 10,000 kilometers on the car and say there's a problem, well, then we can go back to the OD reading and we can find out, right? So this is the completion scan. You're going to receive this 20 minutes after we clear the codes on your vehicle, and you're going to put that in the insurance file, I guess, and you're going to give a copy to the customer insurance company and keep one for yourself. Okay, so completion scan, shop notes. They said T-bone in the side, airbag deployment. So key on, engine off. So we always ask you to do that. So turn the key on, turn the ignition on, turn the engine off, and get some juice going inside that vehicle. So airbag deployment. Okay, so there's multiple faults that happened with this particular vehicle right here. But these multiple faults right here, okay, hood ajar, license plate lamp, turning signals, those are popping up because if I go back to the slide, and I should go back to that slide, it's very important. I'll go back there, just give me a second. And I should have talked about this. Right here. Okay, so we're doing a post scan on this vehicle, and two critical components of this vehicle are missing. The front windshield and the rear bumper are missing on that car. Okay? And if you're gonna do a post scan on a vehicle, make sure the car is completed, because we'll pull up those fault codes. Right? And that's exactly what happened on this vehicle. So if I fast forward this and go through these scanners, as we ran this through, our technician ran it through, these fault codes came up, okay, through those sensors, because that windshield wasn't put in that vehicle and the rear bumper wasn't on that car. Okay. Multiple airbag deployment, okay, was detected in that vehicle. And we're going to clear all these codes. So I guess when Bridget was up, she was talking about all data, information providers, and I think it's going to be critical for the collision repair facilities in the future to have some kind of an information provider for data for your vehicles. And today, I know Mitchell has a repair center, I think it's called. All data is very good, and I think the OEMs, you can buy a weekly or a daily subscription on OEM websites, right? And with the sophistication of the cars today, I strongly urge you to get a subscription, because today, when people ask me about the industry today, they say, what do you think's happening in the industry? And I can really sum it up in 2 words: technical tsunami. Okay, this is what's happening in our industry today, and it's going to continue at a rapid pace. right? Technical tsunami. And the cars are getting more and more difficult to repair. And if we don't have the right data to fix those cars, we're not going to do it properly. It's going to cost the shops and cost the insurance companies a lot of money. It's going to be it's going to hurt your relationships. This right here is GM. This is GM OEM data. Repairs and inspections required after a collision. So if you go to the GM website, you'll see that information there. And if you see the highlighted areas over there, after any collision, inspect the following components as indicated. Okay? Steering column. Inspect the steering column for bending. Instrument panels. Seat belts. Instrument panel cross car beam. So there's a bunch of operations that General Motors is asking the collision OEM replacement with or without deployment bags, okay? If I get into the next one, if I go up here, this is from General Motors, accident with side belt airbag deployment, component replacement inspections, right? Left and right side impact sensors on the left side of impact. Replace, this is a monitor, the DTC on if DTC 0052 sets and will not clear, you have to replace this monitor here, okay? And you're not going to know that unless you diagnose that vehicle, right? That I guarantee you right now. In fact, you're not even going to know if you don't even read it. It's actually, a lot of people don't even understand that today, right? But that's really the crux of it right there. So there's a monitor that has to be checked on this vehicle. Okay, so so on the post scan, we were able to clear that B0052, so it didn't come up. So we didn't have to change that monitor on that particular vehicle. Okay, but yet when we looked in the estimate, it was allowed that SDM was allowed to be replaced on that vehicle because they looked at the procedure. The insurance company allowed it to come in, and they thought they'd go through it, but we could clear that code because if you went to all data, if you went to the information providers, they'll say the SDM is reusable up to 3 times, as long as you can clear the code on top of that. And that's the value of diagnostics, right? We're able to find out the proper information to repair the cars properly. And it'll actually save some money for each other, and we'll understand this business a little bit better, okay? So this is an SDM module replacement, and this GM SDM sensing and diagnostic module is $416.67 US. Right? It was put on that estimate on the vehicle. And to install it at a dealership, it's $528.37 to put that module in a vehicle. Okay, and just through a diagnostic scan, right? And we found out that the code, we could clear the code on that. We saved that SDM on that particular vehicle there, right? And that's because we have a certified technician working that, right? And no limitations on what we can't do, because we subscribe to OEM. We subscribe to OEM tools. We pay for those subscriptions, and as a result of that, we get the most up-to-date data. We get all the current data from all the OEMs. Okay, service details, right? Perform the full service scan with the GM GDS2 tool. 28 fault codes were reported in 8 modules. Okay, perform an SRS verification test. Full completion scan clearing all faults, but 6 fault codes returned. Okay. License plate lamps, circuit open, license plate lamps short to battery, okay? Recommendations, install bumper and glass back in the vehicle, right? So we're doing a post scan on a vehicle, and we got the bumper off the car, right? And then behind that bumper, we've got to hook up probably some of those sensors in the back of that vehicle, right? But we detected it. So we did that for them, okay? So after post scan, 6 fault codes were returned because the vehicle was not fully assembled, okay? All right, so that's how the scanning works, and what we do with that scan is once we're finished clearing the codes on that vehicle, we're gonna email a report to the collision repair facility. It's gonna take about 15 minutes, and you'll receive that report with everything that we've done, right? Using that OEM scan tool. Okay, so this is what it looks like today, right? Advanced driver systems are only getting more complicated, right? So we know that it's here to stay. The OEMs are just loading the cars with more and more of this technology, these creature comforts, as Joe would say, right? And safety devices too, right? So, we have it in every part of the vehicle, most importantly. So we have it in front bumpers, we have it in fenders, we have it in mirrors, we have it in quarter panels, and we have it at the rear of the vehicle. Okay, so as you can see, these components are everywhere. In fact, we were just at a little seminar and they talked about the self-parking. So that self-parking little guy right there, I've never seen a car self-park itself, but it's quite interesting. So here's the facts on self-parking. Self-parking hits the curb 81% less times than if a human being's driving that car. Okay, 81% less time. 47% fewer maneuvers in backing that car up. Okay, 37% closer to the curb and 10% faster. Okay, by autonomous parking. Right? So, and this is some of the gadgetry that's on the car today. So not gadgetry, but really good stuff. Blind spot detection's real huge. Side impact, self-parking, parking assistant vision, blind spot detection's gone real big. So this is what a car looks like today, right? And this is what something's going to look like tomorrow as we move on with the new technology. Okay, and this is what you're going to see. Probably a couple hundred monitors in a vehicle today. So when I go to a car today, the standard vehicle could probably have, anywhere between 35 and 40 onboard computers on that vehicle, right? Modules. Okay, that'll work. And I go to Mercedes-Benz and we scan one of those. They could have 53 or 56 onboard computers. I do a health check. When we do a pre-scan on a vehicle, we do a health check. And a health check means we go to every module in that vehicle and we check each and every one of them. And when we have 53 onboard computers, it's going to take us about 35, 40 minutes to do an onboard, to do a health check on those monitors. It takes a long time. They're very sophisticated. So some of the big ones that I saw here are driver alertless monitor, and that's kind of a neat one. It's actually a monitor on the mirror that can sense if you're losing your alertness on the road, and coffee will pop up on a screen, or it'll tell you to pull the car over, right? Sensing that something is wrong here. Accident recording, parental controls, night vision, right? These are just some of the newer stuff that's going to come up, but that's what a car in the future is going to look like. So it's quite interesting. And when I said a technical tsunami, it's coming, right? Okay, so let's talk about the OEMs, right? Because we're talking about certification in the collision repair facilities today, and certification seems to be, the OEMs have a customer that they want to take care of, and they have a brand that they want to protect, right? And so their job is to protect their brand and take care of the consumer. So they've come up with OEM scanning position statements, and when you become certified. In their shops, they ask you to go through their scanning procedures. And this is, right here, these are 6 manufacturers. Let's see if I can get that, yeah. Okay, so these are 6 manufacturers, and they represent 61% of the market share in the North American market today. And each and every one of these manufacturers have a scanning position for pre- and post-scan on your vehicles. Okay? And there's more to come. I don't think we have General Motors up there. I don't know. Oh yeah, we just put up GM. They just came up with the latest scanning position. So, and if you need to have those scanning positions, it's on our website. It's aztec.com, and you can download those the pre and post scanning positions. So 61% of the marketplace today. It's quite a bit. Okay, here's another interesting stat. Okay, here's some key takeaways. So this is vehicles that have been hit in accidents. So this is data that we're picking up off on cars, right? Because once again, I can only begin to tell you, I started with this company, and I'll just back it up a little bit. I started with this company in 2016. I represented them. The first month that we were in business, we did 40 scans. 40. And like I said, last month we did 11,000. Right? So we're collecting a lot of data off those vehicles. Right? And here's what we find. So if a car's been in an accident, 70% of all the vehicles have DTCs, okay? So they have diagnostic trouble codes, with 65% of those having at least one accident-related trouble code on those vehicles. So that's every car that's in an accident today. Dashboard lights, only 18% of vehicles have an MIL light actually that come up on that vehicle, okay? Our European friends, right? Europeans generate most DTCs, so we're finding that European cars are very, the awareness for the customer is very important when you get into the European cars, okay? Model year, unclear if vehicle age makes a difference, right? And we talk about that a lot in the industry. What do we scan? What's the criteria on scanning? Is it 2010? Is it 2014, 2015? What happens if it gets hit in the parking lot? You know, these are all questions that we're trying to find answers for today, aren't we? Right? And these are important questions, right? So a guy gets hit in a parking lot, right? A guy's pushing a buggy in a parking lot and hits the door of a vehicle and dents the door, and you got to skin the door. And now you got to take a mirror off. You got to, let's say it's a gym, and you got to put a skin on the door, right? I tell you, just by a parking lot hit with a buggy hitting the door, we're gonna have to do a post scan on that vehicle, because we got blind spot monitoring, we got line detection on that vehicle right there. Even though it doesn't have $6,000 worth of damage, it still predicates a scan on that particular vehicle. Okay. Appears to be a little correlation between mileage and the number of DTCs. Okay. Point of impact. Other studies show side impacts have the greatest amount of DTCs, and I can't agree with that anymore. Side airbags are huge, right? The doors just carry so many sensors inside of them. Okay. And nearly 50% of vehicles will trigger additional DTCs. And this is a really important point right here. This is probably the most important one. We bring a vehicle in the shop and we're going to do a health check. Remember I said we get our scanner, we hook it up, we send it to a certified technician, and he's going to do a health check, and he's going to go through all those modules, and he's going to send us a report saying, you know, this is what we found so far, so if it needs seatbelt retentioners, and we'll make you aware of all the stuff you need. And then we're going to say, continue to work on that vehicle, right? Start tearing that car apart, because today in a collision repair facility, what the paint companies are asking us to do is paint parts off cars. You know, cycle time is important for us in collision repair facilities. The more parts we paint inside of a booth, the faster our cycle times become. So now we're pulling parts off cars. We paint a lot of bumpers inside the spray booths. We paint a lot of hoods. We paint a lot of doors. Okay, and every time we're pulling those bumpers off those cars, we're pulling the codes. Right? Every time we're unhooking a wire, it's going to the computer. It's creating fault codes. Right? And that's why we say tear that car apart. Okay, and do whatever you got to do that car. Okay, so 50% of repairs will trigger additional DTCs. Okay, and when you're done with that car, that's when we do the post scan, but it must be completed, and that's where we can clear all those DTCs out of the car and get that thing ready to go back on the road again. Okay. You know, some vehicles need to be scanned, and this is back to where do we start with scanning, and there's no defined answer for that right now. I know that for sure. You know, damage over $3,000, damage necessitating welding is these are some of the criteria that we're looking at through our company that we're seeing. Okay, European model, mechanical supplement, so SRS, frame damage, presence of MIL lights, hybrid electric vehicles, highly optioned cars, airbag deployment, battery disconnect. You know, these are some of the no-brainers that we're looking at in the industry today. So, right? You know, here's what I'm seeing in the industry sometimes, and this is the scary part about our industry. Some guys are saying they're scanning cars and they're not actually scanning cars. And this is what we have to be aware of as an industry, and it happens. It happens in the mechanical, and it happens in the auto body. And so we have to be very aware of that today. Critical questions: has the collision industry adapted to the new vehicle technologies fast enough? That's a good question, and I don't have an answer for that one, that's for sure. Right? Has the insurance industry adapted to their policies, direction, and claim handling through policies on diagnostic scanning fast enough? I don't know if anybody can do it fast enough, to be honest with you. It's happening at light speed out there today. Just if I go down one, if you are doing what you are doing with cars needs diagnostic scanning today, a dealer, a mobile, all aftermarket, other, right? So what are we doing? What are we doing? So what are you guys doing with those vehicles today, right? And that's a good question, right? So what form of scanning are you doing on those cars? I was at a shop this last week, and you know, I guess, you know, in the old days, you know, 5 years ago, if it was a sophisticated European model and we fixed the car and an MLA came out, we just sent it back to the dealership, and you know, it'd be a supplemental and the insurance company would pay for it today, right? But you know, today we really got to keep an eye on that, because you know, we want our customer satisfaction. Right? Our CSI is so important for the collision repair facilities, and our cycle times are so important for our insurance partners that we got to take care of that. Right? It's really important. Do we have cars leaving body shops in unsafe condition? And you know, critical questions: what's your action plan? What's your action plan moving tomorrow, right? I was just in the U.S. Just recently. Aztec signed 2 of the largest dealer groups. So Hendricks Motorsports and Berkshire Hathaway are the 2 of the largest dealer groups. They both went Aztec in their collision repair facilities. So these are dealer-owned collision repair facilities. They have 47, maybe 50. So there's 100 dealerships between the 2 of them. Right. Yes, they have scanning capabilities. in their dealerships, right? But it's hard. They have off-site collision repair facilities. And it's hard to get the cars to the dealerships to be pre and post scan using OEM scan tools, right? So we just signed both of those two dealer groups up to Aztec. So find out what your action plan is. I don't think there's, I think it's very, very important for the industry to find out what's happening as we move along down the road. And of course we have, once again, a complex landscape of industry issues, right? So here's Astech, here we're in the middle. So where do we fit in this? Well, we have OEMs with position statements, OEM procedures, certified networks, and customer satisfaction. That's what's keeping them up at night. We have the insurer, product knowledge. Do they know enough about all these scanning procedures in these cars? It's just about impossible, right, to understand all the scanning procedures. Liability, they have customer service, severity, trade, press, government, social media, right? They've got a lot of pressure on them. Right? The shops, safety, warranty, liability, right? And I'm going to touch on liability right now because I think liability is a really important topic for us to talk about today. So who's liable when you scan a car? So I don't know, if I own a body shop and I've got an aftermarket scan tool, what's their policy? So when you buy a tool, find out who's liable for what happens on that tool. Who's going to warranty that job after they finish that job? It's very, very important. Okay. So once again, do your homework. Right? And we have a liability policy, right? And we guarantee every scan we do. Okay, and it's on the back of our sheets when we send them off to every collision repair facility. Okay? So liability, DRP relationships, auto body associations, okay, and the consumer, moment of truth, service safety, pre-authorization. So we think we fit pretty good in the marketplace today. We're positioned well, right, within the industry because of what we do today. Okay? Okay, so why it works. Pre and post scans provide benefits, right? OEMs, we can prevent false warranty claims, expedite parts delivery, fewer emergency situations, brand protection, recall and warranty. For the customer, safe and proper repairs, right the first time, on-time delivery, proactive maintenance. Our insurers confirm pre-loss condition, on-time delivery, severity, loss of use, total losses, okay? In the shop, cycle time, efficiencies, and reduced rental, right? And knows what keep people up at night, and that's how we can benefit, our product can benefit each of our partners in the industry today. Okay, so warning lights. This is the risk of not scanning. This is kind of what happened in the past, right? We'd fix a car, we'd give it back to the customer. What happens a lot of times is the lights don't come on. Right? We're in a body shop and we assemble the car, and we drive it up to the front, we wash it, we clean it, we drive it up to the front, and Mr. Customer comes and it's a fantastic job, thank you very much, they're getting the keys and they drive the car away. And they call you back the next day and say, God, geez, Joe, the light's on. How did that happen, right? Because you got to drive a car. Sometimes these codes don't come off until you drive the car for so many kilometers, right? So all of a sudden, that's the risk of not scanning, okay? And here are some examples of diagnostic issues that do not illuminate a warning light, okay? This is what you see in a car today. And I don't know if the OEMs are going to put an MIL light. I don't work for an OEM, but let me tell you, I don't know if they're going to put an MIL light for every one of those guys that come off, right? I don't know if there's enough room in the dashboard to put them all in there, to be honest with you, right? And that's really, so let's look at auto express windows. Really important today, right? And if you change the door skin on a vehicle, you better clear that code. Let me tell you, it's really important. Adaptive cruise control, mirror function, satellite radar reception, passive entry. There's the big kicker right there. Put a door skin or put a door in a car and don't clear that code when you got passive entry. That keyless entry is the most important thing for the consumer today. They just, 1 minute, okay, I got a minute here. So parking assist and objection detection. Okay, this is one of our master technicians. I think he's using, I'm not sure what tool he's using here, but he's receiving information in and he's running it through. This particular unit here uses software, okay, after the tool. This is our research and development center in Plano, Texas. So here we do a lot of testing. As CDS is the company, Collision Diagnostics Solutions is the company. It's owned by there's two partners in the company. It's Copart, and there's a private equity firm out of New York City. We do a lot of research and development, and what we do in here is we use a lot of those aftermarket tools. Okay, we're constantly testing to seeing how we fare against those guys out there. Okay. All right, so right here, this is our OEM factory scan tools in Plano, Texas. These are one of our towers. And these are all different OEMs. These are multiple tools that we're using on a daily basis. That's that new GM guy right there, okay? So all different scan tools from different OEMs. And I'll just talk about the millennial, okay? Because that's our next customer coming up, right? And let me tell you about millennials. They're pretty sharp kids today. And the millennial is not afraid of technology, right? In fact, I was at Robert's shop, just Fixed Auto up in Rexdale, and I brought my Aztec unit up there, and his son said, he said, let's just hook this thing up Wi-Fi. He said, I'll do it off my phone, right? You know, he's a millennial, he's a sharp kid. You know, he gets this kind of stuff. And millennials embrace technology, and they love it, right? Personally, I'm 58 years old. I run away from it. I don't run away from it, but I can tell you, on my Apple iPhone, I use about 4 functions. And that's about it. I just get by every day. But that's our next customer, is the millennial customer, okay? And they're coming up fast. Okay, this is a new one from Acura. This is a great one, right? Always on, ever watchful. Your vehicle constantly monitorable, telemetry. So airbag status, GPS, location, collision sensor activity. If an airbag ever deploys, the vehicle automatically sends an event report to Acura Link support, okay? Right? So that's they're constantly monitoring that vehicle, right? The OEMs. And if that car gets, and an airbag deploys in that car, they're probably going to get a hold of that consumer inside that car. General Motors does it all the time too now, right, with their systems, right? So this is what's happening, okay? Acura Link is really, really kind of interesting. So that constant communication with that customer inside that car. And that's about it, gentlemen. So I want to thank you for your time. And I do have this presentation if everyone. Okay, once again, good afternoon, and thank you for coming up and watching this demonstration. So, just gonna go through it one more time. Aztec is a service. Aztec is not a tool. Okay, so what we're gonna do here today is I've scheduled a scan on this vehicle. Right, so what I have to do is I put all the pertinent information into this box. So if you look at the front screen here, this is our Aztec site, and in that site, you're going to put your information off your back of your Aztec unit, your licensing numbers, and a screen's going to pop up. And I guess we can't do it in the college here. It's not connecting. That won't connect, right? It
still won't connect. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not connecting in here. But once that screen pops up, then we're going to put all the information on the car. So we're going to put year, make, model, what the VIN code is on that vehicle. We're going to put whether the car was damaged, odometer readings, all the pertinent information. So a technician at the other end he can't see the car, but he can visually see that damage himself. So when he starts scanning that car, he can understand it a bit better. So I've scanned all these cars here today. I don't know if I can pull up a scan report. That's up to the folks here. But what I've done is I've scheduled a scan for this Volkswagen. I'm going to FaceTime Aztec in Texas. Right, so Brian Castleberry is the general manager there. I can only do it through my phone. I cannot do it on his television. It's not an ITV, so we don't have that technology. But I can go to the car. This particular car here is hooked up. So there's our Aztec unit here, and it's hooked up wirelessly. And as you can see, we have. If you can come over here a little bit, we've got a couple of green lights on this unit. Okay. Yeah. So we got a couple green lights. That Aztec is hooked up to that vehicle right now. Power's on, and it's ready for a scan. I scheduled a scan appointment for 2 o'clock. Once again, we like to schedule our scans. Everybody's busy today, right? In the past, if we had any frustrations, it was a lot of people were calling in and getting scans, and we didn't have enough technicians ready. So when you schedule the scans, it certainly helps. Okay. Most importantly, what I did with this vehicle, and I do it in every car, is I've got a bit of battery backup on this vehicle. Okay. We need some type of a unit to keep the voltage going to that vehicle. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is use my phone. I'm going to FaceTime a gentleman, and I'm going to walk over to the vehicle. I'll kind of put it up on the car up here. I apologize. Whoop.
Hello, Dan.
Hello, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hello, everyone.
Everybody's good here today. Everybody's great. Got a big crowd in front of us here today. We have some Aztec units and some people interested in obviously looking at some scanning equipment. We've got this Volkswagen in front of us here. I've sent all the information to you where are you located at, Brian?
We're in Plano, Texas at the moment. Here, I'll show you around show you around the office.
Okay, why don't you do that?
Here's Hunter. He's the master tech who'll be doing the work on the Volkswagen today.
Okay.
This is our office here in Plano,
Okay.
and here's our wall of tools.
Yep. I was showing the tower of tools that we have in there.
Yeah, tower power. Well, let me show you as Hunter gets into this scan. So today he goes into our system and pairs our devices to the devices in the vehicle. And then he's going to log into the VW Otis tool.
Okay, so Brian, that's a Volkswagen OEM scan tool that you're using at your facility?
It is.
Okay.
And we're pulled up in here, see it's a 15.
Hey, is this a sedan or a wagon?
This is a sedan. Sedan. Wagon? Oh, I'm sorry, it's a wagon.
Oh, it's a wagon.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll tag. We're gonna have to let it run its course and back up a little bit.
Are you guys connected to the vehicle?
Accidentally.
Oh, is it gonna run without it?
Yeah, it'll detect it.
Okay, so it's pulling it itself now.
Okay.
So you can see here that it's verifying the modules that are in it.
How many modules would be inside this vehicle?
How many modules?
At this point, it's still scanning, so I don't know how many total modules there are right now.
Okay.
We will know once the scan's complete how many there are.
It takes a little bit for the tool itself to work.
Yeah.
Sometimes, some of the tools are really fast. Like you can do a diesel tool is pretty darn quick. 7 or 8 minutes. We should be able to get through the scan and begin the reporting. But others, my gosh, the Subaru tool. We have the actual factory Subaru tool sitting inside the Subaru. It takes 25 minutes just for the scan to run.
Okay. Brian, on average, how long does it take to do a pre-scan on a vehicle once the technician how long does it take to do a health check?
Once we're able to get to them, typically it should be about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes to do it. Sometimes, just like if you're going to McDonald's at 6 o'clock, you're going to wait in line a little longer than you would if you went at 3. Sometimes we get a little bit of a backlog. Typically, we're within 20 minutes of a backlog, and then another 15 or so to do the scan, but still well less time than taking it to the dealership or waiting on it to try to come out the next day.
Yes, absolutely. Good.
Here what are you doing here, Hunter?
I'm just reviewing the folks right now to see what we have. It looks like we have an appointment on the passenger seatbelt tensioner.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a seatbelt tensioner problem in this vehicle for sure.
Okay, it looks like, are the headlights out of the vehicle?
I think the headlights are out, yeah. Yeah, both sides are out.
Okay, so I do see the headlight faults.
Mm-hmm.
The only other faults that I see look like communication faults that said time to activate. What I'm going to do is perform a CAN bus test on the scan tool. It's going to run through the CAN bus to determine if there's any communication issues that are occurring right now, so that way we can let you know about different before being repaired to the vehicle.
Okay.
So I'm just going to perform this CAN bus test right now. The tool's just going to run through it.
What kind of control do you have on this vehicle? I know I've been in shops many times and you'll turn the lights on, honk the horns, you'll get the door locks going up and down. So you've got basically full control of this vehicle, don't you?
Yes, sir, pretty much.
Okay. Can you do a little demonstration if it's possible?
Yeah, we're going to give it a shot here.
Okay.
Hunter is one of our
Yeah.
Here on our production floor, we separated our technicians into groups that operate in fabrication work and put in place. Just to help all the technicians with their specialization. Beyond this location, we have not only in Mexico, Florida, where we have technicians
And how many technicians are currently working over at CDS? About 60 now?
Yeah, we're 58 right now, and gosh, we're doing it all the time. It's all you got to yourselves for finding qualified technicians these days. So to be able to go grow as fast as we can and produce we're offering the techs a good work environment, really have a strong and to still use their knowledge. That's one thing we're doing, which again is
All right, Brian, well, listen, I'll let you go. You guys can finish that scan and just send us off. And how long does it take before we get the email when you guys are done the scan, Brian? Okay. Very good. All right, Brian, well, listen, we'll let you go. It's hard to hear you in the room. We got a full crowd of people, but we appreciate you taking the time and showing that the Volkswagen scan tool and CDS in Plano, Texas. Thank you, Brian. All right. Not a problem. Thank you now. Okay, so currently right now that technician is continuing to scan this vehicle. I don't think it'll take him much longer and he'll be finished. So what happens is we schedule that scan. Technician typically calls me, says I need some battery backup. Of course, I want the ignition on, engine off. And what we try to do is have the shops start this in the planing area, right? So we're in the planing area, the car comes in, your appraiser's starting to do the appraisal on the car. That's the best time to put the Aztec unit on. When you got the components on the car, it's always best, right? So we're not pulling a technician off the floor. You know, he's looking for parts, he's writing an appraisal on the vehicle, he can put the Aztec unit on there, he can get an appointment. So we're not taking a lot of your time. Yes, it's a half an hour, but if we schedule our time, right, and be more efficient, right, in the collision repair facility, we can schedule it into the planning area. Okay, that's so important today. So it's you know, what I find a lot of times still to this day is they only put the Aztec units on when the unit comes back and there's MIL lights flashing on the vehicle, right? So pre and post scans are so important today on our vehicles. So once again, you can go to our website, aztec.com. There's great information. We have all the position statements inside there. There's Ask Aztec. We have a great, every Wednesday afternoon for 1 hour, Jake Rodenroth from our company gets on the phone, and it's called Ask Aztec. And we have technicians across North America, and they just pop questions to Jake. Or Brian would come on if Jake's out of town, and we just answer a lot of their questions. And it's a community that we're kind of building together. Scanning is a difficult process today, and we've got a lot to learn about scanning today. I was at a shop on Dufferin Street 2 days ago. They had a Nissan Frontier, and they wanted to had some sonar scanners in the back of the truck, and asked if I could clear the codes on them. And this particular vehicle, we could not clear the codes off for the rear scanners on that vehicle. So I got a hold of AllData. I put a library request in AllData asking for information on that. And he said, that's right, you cannot scan that. That is an operation that is done with the ignition and with the switch inside the vehicle. So AllData sent us the information, and it was 7 parts that you had to do inside the car. Combination of turning the key and hitting the switch. And we did that. We got those sensors working again. Okay, but that's the great part. You know, you have Aztec. We have certified technicians working at Aztec. If we can't answer the questions, we'll get the answers for you, right? Because we use all those. We subscribe to all the information providers for collision repair in the industry. Anyways, I think my time's up. Okay. 2 minutes? Okay, well, thank you. Anyways, is there any questions from anybody on the floor about Aztec?
You're going to discuss pricing out there?
Yeah, so Joe asked me a question to talk about pricing, and I will be here. I'm going to stay to the end of the day, and if anybody wants to come up to me, I'll be in the auditorium and we can talk about pricing. Okay? Very good. Is there anything else? Anyways, yes? Yes, so adaptive headlights we can reset, and even on the Audi, because they're matched, right? So we can reset those headlights on the Audis as long as they're matched. In fact, you got to be careful, guys, when it comes to scanning, especially if you get into camera mounting, especially the high-end cars, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, a lot of camera-mounted stuff up there. This stuff requires some major targets, okay? It's not sonar, it's camera-mounted. I didn't talk about it this morning. So there's some big targets up there. And when you send it to the dealership, they have to set it up it's a fairly large room, and these targets are very expensive, right? And that's how they clear those codes, is by the cameras hitting those targets. Now, for instance, Honda has lane watch, right? And so we can do lane watch. You know, we can do it as long as you can buy the target from Honda, and they will sell it to you if you're a certified shop. It just goes in the back of it goes off the back wheel, and it has to be so many inches away. And once our camera hits it, we can clear the code on that. But some of the more sophisticated vehicles, I don't think there's going to be any remote diagnostic company that can do it, because simply you just need to have the targets on some of those bigger vehicles today. So be very aware of that also. Okay? Is there anything else? Anyways, thank you very much. I'll get out of here.